Good evening. This is Mrs. Lewis, and I am the 7th grade core teacher for English and History for EVA. So right after lunch at 12:30, your student logs on to the Google Meet for English, and then 6th period, we are back together for History. So let's get started. So in distance learning this year, I moved this slide up to the beginning because this seems to be where all the action is. Google Classroom, Google website, homework calendar, synchronous, asynchronous time. So I'm going to start with the Google Classroom. So every single day, this is where we start. So when your student comes in after lunch, they're going to click on this Meet right here. It's going to take them to the live Google meeting, our synchronous meeting time. The reason why I choose Google Meet for my synchronous time is that Google Meet allows me to have closed captions in case I have a hearing impaired student. It also allows the student to translate those captions personally. So if you were a newcomer to the English language, you could personally translate the closed captions to your primary language to give you better access to our live meetings. Other things I want to point out about Google Classroom is in the stream, this is your timeline here for upcoming events if you're a student. And in classwork, this is what I want to point out. I am really telling kids all the time, always work out of your classwork tab. So when they meet with me, when I'm showing my screen, they are seeing the Google Classroom, and I often ask them, I always ask them to say, hey, open up your Google Classroom to your classwork tab and follow along with me as I click on to assignments or material or instruction or whatever. You're going to notice that I organize everything by week. So on the stream, it is very easy to find things. So let's say you needed to do something from last week for some reason. You could click on last week and it automatically takes you to just those assignments. So no rooting through all these assignments, go to where you need to go by being in all these topics. Very easy to navigate. So this tells you everything that's going to be happening for the week, and I don't do everything in one day. So you're going to see if there's something Monday and it's Monday, that's what I'll talk about on Monday, even though I have it all loaded up for the entire week. So those are just a few ins and outs of the Google Classroom. They can also get to our Google Meet from this button. They can get to our Google Class Calendar from this button, which would be the homework calendar. And then grades. There are going to be grades on the Google Classroom gradebook, but it does not talk to PowerSchool. So just because it's in Google Classroom does not mean it's necessarily in PowerSchool, because I do have to manually transport those grades over. Or sometimes I will grade it in Amplify, and I won't grade it in Google Classroom, so it'll go from Amplify to PowerSchool. So this is not our official gradebook, even though it does have that feature. So besides the Google Classroom, we have switched to Google websites. And I did notice that the Olympus website where I live, where my classroom lives, they don't have my correct link to the Google website, so I'm going to have to correct that with the district. But for my website, the first page is the About tab, just a very simple thing about core. And then this is more about our curriculum. So in 7th grade, we have an online English curriculum called Amplify. So this is a screenshot of the 7th grade units. We start out with a Red Scarf Girl. When we get there, we have not started Amplify yet because 7th graders start with a project called Window to My Heart this week. 7th grade World History. This is the textbook that 7th graders checked out from the NPR room when they came, and it looks like that. And we do use the textbook. So that's really the only textbook that was checked out to you as a 7th grader. Once again, I do have the homework calendar. This is the exact same calendar that the students would find in the Google Classroom. I also have an assignments tab divided by weeks, just like in the Google Classroom, so it mirrors what's happening in the Google Classroom. So anytime you're looking for work, you want to go to the week. So for instance, if you have to go back to last week, I have last week now all set. So if you had to go back here, you can click on these live links here to go back to any assignment there. Same thing, you can also go back to the Google Classroom, but it's there. My plan also this year is to have some student work so we can share with the world some of the great stuff that we do this year. Okay, so back to the back to school night. So the synchronous asynchronous discussion. So we have a half hour of synchronous time in our hour, and this is very similar to the normal classroom in the brick and mortar. Teachers are not talking for a whole entire period. Our synchronous time is our engagement time when we're in discussion. Right now we're going to be discussing artifacts and fossils and the difference between a historian and an archaeologist and how they work together. So the synchronous time, this is where the real classroom engagement comes in. And I show my screen and I talk about instructions for what we're going to do and the skill we're going to cover. In asynchronous time, I still leave the Google Meet open. When students go to their desk, so to speak, to go work, because that's what would happen in the regular classroom. They would be working at their desk while I walk around. So the way I walk around in the distance learning format is I keep the Meet open. So if a student goes on to asynchronous time and they're like, oh, I got to go ask her a question about this, they can come right back into the Google Meet because I'm sitting there at my desk with the Google Meet on, and they can say, Mrs. Lewis, I need some help with this, or I have a question on this, or can I clarify something here, or can you listen to the sentence I wrote here? So the Meet is open the whole entire time for kids to get support if they need that. In the asynchronous time, I can also go into Amplify and start looking at their assignments that they're doing. I can also go into Google Classroom to see that they are actually starting to work on their assignments in there too. So I do have the ability to monitor students during the asynchronous time also. They're just not listening to me speak for another 30 minutes straight. Like I said, the homework calendar is also on the Google Classroom and the website. Okay, specifically language arts. Outside of Amplify, I do throw some Greek and Latin root units out there sprinkled throughout the year. I have 10 units for 7th graders. Amplify, with DL, we're looking at probably 1 unit per semester. Hopefully faster if we can do that. What's really important too is that all students have an individual novel. We have not started talking about reading journals yet. We're going to start doing that this week. Having your own novel and having a reading journal means I can differentiate for all levels of reading at all times. I can also differentiate and Amplify also, because Amplify allows me to put students in different levels from emerging to beginning to intermediate to core to advanced. And all that means is that when we're doing writing in Amplify or anything that's leveled, we're all working on the same Common Core standard. It's just that different levels have different scaffolding to get that student to that Common Core standard. And journals, again, I can differentiate instruction because the student is writing about the book that they are reading, and I can be like their personal writing coach in there. Also, when we do reading journals, it is under your EUSD account, so it is never late and it is never lost. So that's the beauty of online journals, because I've been doing online journals way before distance learning ever started. Okay, the grading policy. My grading policy is straight from the Common Core state standards. So the reading, the literacy, the writing, the conventions, the speaking. I did put journals do fall into literacy. That's why it's 40% of your grade. A lot of Amplify there too because of those skills. I think journals hit every single one of those skills every single time, along with the other lessons in Amplify. Amplify covers all the writing. The conventions, once again, we do Greek and Latin roots outside of Amplify. There's a vocabulary app on Amplify. Amplify has grammar embedded, usually on flex days. Speaking and listening, we're going to have lots of opportunities to record ourselves speaking, because a lot of the tools in the distance learning model, like Flipgrid, really do foster students to record themselves on video and speak to their classmates. And hopefully, I always do Socratic seminars, so I'm hoping for a way to somehow during a Google Meet with breakout rooms, let kids work in teams and somehow do a Socratic seminar over distance learning. Okay, world history. That's that blue book. So we're picking up right from 6th grade, and I told the kids do not panic about how 6th grade ended. It doesn't, that's not going to dictate how 7th grade goes. We're going to do some document-based question essays that'll come right after the fall of Rome. And I just also wanted to share that I use interactive Google Slides for easy access to all assignments, videos, and materials. I try to do a one-stop shop so that when kids are in a Google Slide set, everything they need is going to be there. Grading policy and history, once again, same thing, going straight from the Common Core grading standards. And they're all equal there, those 3 things. Each one would be like 33% of their grade. So just want to show you what Amplify looks like. So when kids are logging into Amplify at home, it's going to look like this. This is what the online book looks like. And you can see from my end here that I have the ability to assign in Google Classroom. So the beauty of Amplify is that it talks to the Google Classroom and I can assign it directly on there. And many times during synchronous learning, I am showing my screen here. So kids can see my screen and also ask me questions during synchronous time. So this Amplify lends itself very well to distance learning. And the last thing I wanted to show you is what a history slide deck would look like. So our history program is not online. Our history program is up for adoption. It's been here for a while. So I've kind of made it online. So this is what happened this week. This is our first one. So in this slide pack, everything a student needs is here. So like right here, this is me. This is if you want to, when you have to read the chapter, you click here and it's a video of me reading the textbook so the kids can see the textbook, kind of like this video right here you're seeing right here. And I have a spotlight tool. And I also try to point out all the important parts in the section. So very important that kids, when there is a don't skip this. When there is a click that says, please click this to read a section, please, please, please make sure the students are doing that. Then over here, there's click here and it takes you right to the assignment for this meme template. And if you need directions on that meme template, here's a video of me explaining the meme template. So let's say in synchronous time, you don't remember what we talked about. You just click right here and there's a video of me. And then I have every slide dated. So here's what you're doing on Tuesday. Once again, you're going to click here and that's going to be a video of me reading the chapter. And also in case you don't remember things from the synchronous period, these are your most important videos. This is where your core of your instruction is right here. This is the activity for the day right here. Same thing, here's Wednesday's activity. And then with distance learning, there's been a huge, huge push for choice boards. So you're going to see a lot of choice boards, especially in history. Amplify kind of already gives them choice boards. Amplify is kind of already designed that way. So right here, you guys are going to notice that there's our asterisks in the choice boards. And I've already talked to the kids how these denote challenge activities. These are a little bit more intense in assignments that kind of wrap up that chapter. And when kids are doing a choice board, they only have to do one. They only have to do one thing. And everything on here has a link. You click this live link, it takes you to the assignment. Click this live link, it takes you to the assignment. And then once again, when you're done with your choice board, you're going to click here for the standards assessment. So I kind of wanted to give you an idea of what that would look like in history this year. So once again, hope you enjoyed back to school night in the comfort of your own chair. It's going to be a great year. Thanks.